Letwa, and this is Unity Coalition, Coalición Unida TV. Watching us every Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday at 4 p.m. here on Facebook Live. Don't forget to visit our website, unitycoalition.org, or you can follow our website, coaliciónunida.org. Para toda esta nuestra comunidad latinohispana que se encuentra aquí en el sur de la Florida, queremos recordarle que Unity Coalition se encuentra aquí trabajando desde el 2002 para la comunidad LGBTQ+. Si usted se siente identificado o usted se siente familiar, solamente síganos. En estos momentos, yo soy your host, Samantha Letois, and I have the pleasure to announce one of my speakers. His name is Her Sosa. Let's say so. Welcome to Her Sosa. Hi, Her. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for doing this.
So wonderful. Yes, I'm so wonderful. I'm so happy. Her Sosa, thank you so much for taking the time and enjoy our show, Unity Coalition, is starting on Monday. And tell me, why is doing Her Sosa right now for the community, for the LGBT community in the South Florida?
Well, I'm quarantining like everybody else. I'm trying to keep my spirits up. I'm trying to stay positive and reach out to friends and family like everybody else. But Unity Coalition, we're doing all kinds of great things. We're doing our micro giving fund. We're doing a lot of different projects that we'll talk about throughout the show. But right now, I really would like to get to our topic of home sweet home while we stay at home. And really it's dealing with, all kinds of issues from isolation to addiction, you name it. And we have two amazing guests. Tell us who our guests are today.
Yes, everyone, let me tell you that I have the pleasure to announce the amazing guest that we have. Her name is Rachel Sampson, and she's the owner of the Dynamic Wellness Center. Let me tell you, just got some clap for her. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you for having me. Hi, Herb.
Hi, how are you? Welcome.
How are you?
And who else do we have today?
Yes, we're happy to have you here.
Who else do we have as a guest, Samantha?
Well, we have today? We have another special woman. She's like a Wonder Woman. I love her so much. And her name is Diana. Yes, she's the owner of the Recovery Release. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you very much.
All these glamour ladies, my God.
Yes.
Welcome.
Shake that head. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching us, and thank you for taking the time. This is just a time. And this is the Monday for first time episode for Unity Coalition TV. And let me tell you that this is the time to talk about everything that's passing right now. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have today for Monday.
Well, I'd like to start by asking a couple of questions of our two wonderful guests. Obviously, all of us have the privilege, if you will, of self-isolation and having a home and having a roof over our heads. And that really is a privilege, even for those that are complaining, want to get out there. It's the privilege to be able to open the refrigerator and overeat. It's a privilege to be able to have a roof over your head. It's a privilege to be able to be bored with everything on Netflix because you've seen it all. But there's a lot of people in our community, especially our LGBT community and our youth and our trans community, and really everybody across the board that don't have that luck, that don't have that privilege. So I'd like to start by talking about that. Like, how does our community that doesn't have, the financial means or the stability of a home, how should they deal during this lockdown, during this isolation? And I'd like to start with you, Diana.
I think that that's a complex kind of thing, right? So if you have someone out there who's LGBTQ, a lot of them don't have affirming families or support. So that's challenging in itself. So you had these challenges prior, this pandemic hits, and then what do you do?
Right.
Well, luckily for us, we've got a lot of nonprofits that are out there. I think it's important for us to be able to, the privilege, you were talking about privilege, and it's so true. We are so privileged. Whoever is out there that is privileged at this very moment, okay, how can we extend our gratitude is paying it forward. If you're able to pay it forward financially, please do. There are people just going out of their ways for the homeless. They're going out into the trenches, to the roads, and making care packs. We all can contribute something. So like this video in itself, it can contribute to sending a message to someone sitting there going, how can I help? Our LGBTQ community in itself has its own challenges. So us privileged LGBTQ people out there, we need to be able to really hunker down and get together and see how we can help our community. Find out, what do the nonprofits need? How can we get funding within our own communities? Is there a child or a parent that needs some support? I always have my phone open. So there's many different ways to do that. I think that we have to kind of think outside of the box. And in order to do that, you have to do some action steps. You can't just sit there and say, what can I do? There's a lot we can do together.
Okay. What about addiction? What about someone, if I have, again, the privilege of being able to go to a meeting, for alcohol, for drugs, for whatever the case is, and have that support system, that's a very tactile, that's a very hands-on experience. And Rachel, I'd love to hear from you as to how do we stay sober? How do we stay within our sobriety, within the confines of not being able to go to a meeting? Or are there virtual ways to do so?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there are a ton of virtual online resources, but the problem is when the person who has the disease of addiction is home, if they are lucky enough to have a home and be there, and they're alone. So most people who suffer from the disease of addiction have depression, have anxiety, and you throw some isolation on top of that, and that's really a recipe for disaster. I mean,
and liquor deliveries and drug deliveries and everything's there.
It doesn't stop.
All depression that's coming back.
Yeah. So, yesterday I was with somebody who's very big in the AA community, and she was like, the liquor stores are open, but we can't get help. Right. So even in that kind of microcosm part of our world, it's like I was saying before, people have to reach out to each other. You have to look at those numbers in your phone and say, you know what?
Yep.
Ted, let me think about Ted for a minute. Ted lives in an efficiency. He doesn't make much money. He's probably not working. And his life was saved by coming to these meetings. Ted might not even have a computer. Call Ted, text Ted. Yep. What do you need? And even that can bring somebody's spirits up, because feeling alone and isolated on top of all the other issues, it's a recipe for disaster. And I am seeing the trend is going, backwards. More people are not engaged in recovery at this time. Less people are engaged, and it's going to continue to trend that way. Because a lot of times, and Deanna can attest for this, meetings, it's you're skin to skin, you're breath to breath, you're in space with somebody, you're sharing energy. People are not motivated the same way to maybe get online to a meeting that has, 50 people there. You can't really talk, can't really hear. And I'm seeing this happen. So it is about what we as humankind and mankind are willing to do for each other.
Right.
And it's about showing up when it comes to that. Or what do you need? What can I do for you? And then going through all the resources possible. So
I know Samantha also had questions about family and contact with family.
No, it's a lot of things that we want to talk, and I know that the people want to get involved in these conversations. I just want to take a second just to remind everybody, we're going to be Unity Coalition TV is going to be live on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, 4 p.m. here on Facebook Live. Just go to unitycoalition.org o coalicionunida.org para que puedas encontrar toda la información necesaria referente a la comunidad en estos momentos, lo que está pasando. So yes, every resource that you can find is in Unity Coalition website. So yeah, just a quick question that I have just for Deanna, just to continue with this. Let me ask you something about the transgender community that right now that we are suffering. Let's say for a population, a transgender community has been exposed to as a service community. What is that probably that is, maybe an explanation or something that you can share with this community, because right now, to being a transgender and being exposed to being out there are so many of us that doesn't have the support, as you said, for the family. So it's really, really hard for, especially for this community. So I want to ask you, like, what you can tell to this, to the transgender community, especially for community services.
I could talk about this all day long. I can tell you that I had a young male. He's 28 years old. He's trans. He reached out to me through Instagram, just like in desperation. He doesn't have an affirming family. It's a very difficult time. He's vulnerable in itself, doesn't have an affirming family, lives with the affirming family. And really just said, I know you're an affirming mother and you're just an amazing person. He didn't ask me for help. He just wanted to vent. So I allowed him to say what he needed to, and I offered help, and he said, oh my goodness, thank you. So I found out what state he lived in. I made a few, connections with people that I know and gave him some resources. I said, I'm not your mother and I'm not your family, but I can be your chosen family and I can be a resource to you and whatever I can do. So I think that, what I can do, like I said, is to be open and to share my story and to be able to be there for someone, and give them resources and let them know that they're not alone, even though they feel alone, and just be available. Just be available. I don't want to look at a message that I'm getting privately and go, oh, I'm stressed out too. I don't want to help that person. We have to get into gratitude. And if I know something, what good is it if I keep it to myself? So I think we all have a responsibility, especially our trans community as well, that our trans people out there that are affirmed and they're safe and they're comforted, that they need to go and help our trans community. They have a responsibility to help the trans community that are not. And to be able to check on our trans community and message them and say, I haven't heard from so-and-so. I haven't heard from so-and-so. Let me just see, like what Rachel was saying. Let me get out of me for a second and find out how somebody else is doing.
Well, Deanna, let me ask you a question. I want you to get back into you and your home in particular, because I do have the privilege of knowing that you have quite a full house going on right now. So, it's great to hear your professional, putting your professional hat on, but I want to know how you're doing and how everyone else in your household is doing.
Yeah, this is really hard.
Give us some tips, because something that I've realized in my own skin, again, I'm very lucky. I'm very privileged to have multiple rooms in the house, and I have my nephew and my roommate that we've been getting to know each other really, really well for the last almost 3 months.
Yes.
And everyone's fine. No one's killed each other yet. But that in itself is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear from you about living with not only a teenager, but living with parents and how do you coexist with all that?
So interesting enough, right before the pandemic, my mother, we went to Georgia and we brought her to live with us. So that was new. I haven't lived with my mother and I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But this is a crazy perspective. It's a beautiful thing is that thank goodness I was able to do that, because if she was going to be in Georgia by herself, she would have been, I would not have been able to get her.
Yeah.
We have to shift our perspective. So yes, have I been stressed? Absolutely. This is the first time I put my eyebrows on. I'm just saying. I did not wake up like this, by the way, people.
Don't tell anybody.
That's woman's secrets.
But, right. but again, when I feel stressed, like I've taken out art supplies. We go out into the patio. I've taken out, painting. I'm not even a good painter. But there's something therapeutic about that. Meditation, doing things that put you kind of in a place where when things are hitting you and this one needs this and we have to get this, and my mom has diabetes and health issues and she has COPD, so she's on oxygen, and then I'm getting scared because someone's coming over and they're dropping off groceries and I have to, spray everything with Lysol and wipe it down because I have a mother with, health issues, and I have autoimmune disorders. And then my mother-in-law just had surgery on her hand and she's almost 75. So there is an immense amount of anxiety. And I have to remind myself, one thing at a time. What do you need to do, Deanna? What can you control? What can't you? And I have to kind of do this process of that self-talk all the time. And I think that shift of perspective that everything's going to be okay as long as I put one foot in front of the other does help alleviate like all the things that are coming at you at once. Plus you have to pay bills. Plus you have to figure out how to do that. So
Samantha?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I just want to say before to continue, I want to let them know that everybody that's watching it right now, if you want to just ask something, just put your comments on below. We're going to be so really excited and happy just to answer all those questions. Remember that we are all here just for you. I know that you're stay at home, you stay safe, but this is a great opportunity just to get informed and start your Monday the way it is as Unity Coalition TV. Just continue, guys.
I have a couple of questions for you. Deanna, well, as you know, my sister's name is Deanna, just like yours. And
by the way, that's a beautiful name. I'm sorry.
I will let my mother know.
Yes. And I was speaking to Rachel before we came on live that, again, these are good problems that I have. But my mom lives here in Miami, and she about a year ago no longer drives, but she lives on her own and she's fine. And we had a really great system. My schedule is flexible enough that I would go and take her to breakfast and shopping and whatever she needed practically every day of the week. And then my sister would take over weekend duties, and it worked great. All of a sudden, it all came to a screeching halt. And again, I can't say this enough. We're in a very lucky situation. She is able to live on her own. You know, she is, relatively okay, other than when she makes me insane. But other than that, she's fine. But there has been a lot of adjustment, bringing her food, leaving it outside, explaining to her that this isn't personal, that I don't not want to hug her,
right.
And I leave the house crying like an idiot every single time because yes, you do need that contact. And I'm very lucky to have her in the same city, but there's a lot of emotion that goes with that. And even for her, it took a lot. And my mother's a very smart woman, but she kind of disconnected for the first month of this, where she got the whole idea of the pandemic, but it was kind of happening to other people. And it took a while for her to understand, no, you can't answer the door. No, you can't let the exterminator inside. If your daughter and your son can't come in and hug you, that means no one else can.
You can't allow somebody that you don't know get in your house. Like
the biggest adjustment for her was not going to Versailles every day because she's like the princess of Versailles. So that was the big one for her. That's been a really big one for her. But she's adjusted to that. But again, do you have any other wisdom, if you will, on how to, just how mentally to deal with people that you're coexisting with and what their needs are and what their, these are legitimate needs. These are legitimate wanting to go outside, wanting to talk to people. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I have just a quick question regarding what her society just passing with his mother, and I totally understand that. One of the questions that I got by Instagram and also on the account for Trans Art, by the way, Trans Art is one of the programs that Unity Coalition have for the transgender community. It's open in 365 days. Well, right now for the social distance, we are trying to provide a virtual walk through the Pride lines and also for the project for Trans Art. So if you are transgender, you are an artist, you want to get exposed, you want to be out there, let us know. It's the opportunity to show up your case and fashion show so we can do that for you. You can go to the unitycoalition.org, scroll down to Trans Art Lab, and then find the form, fill that out, and send them right away so we can know more about you. So guys, this is my question for you. What is the suggestion that you guys have for older people that we are staying at home with them? Because we young, I'm talking about me a little bit young. I'm not young enough, but I'm talking about it's really hard for me just to stay at home. I heard so success is to stay at home and trying to find it. This is a small house, but I think at least I have the ability just to go backyard and try to get this curtain and everything. But what about these people that they're living with with my grandma, with my parents? but you tell them that don't go out, and they just get crazy. I saw a lot of videos from Colombia, all the people like, oh, abuela, don't go out. And I'm like, you don't tell me what I have to do. So I'm like, oh, okay. This is a part of the time that I'm sorry, I wasn't being off the camera. So I'm like, this is a part of the time like you get stressed for helping your family, but at the same time you get stressed by yourself. So what is this recommendation that you two beautiful women specialists, tell me what we can do?
Well, Deanna knows this. We wish everybody could be like my mother. So my mother, who's 74, has a blow-up pool in her front yard. Yes. And she's in it every day, having a glass of wine or a Bloody Mary and making the most of it.
She's my spirit animal. She's my spirit animal.
And she plays pickleball, like in her street with my stepfather. But it's true that not everybody can do that. And something interesting that I was saying is that his mother had a hard time kind of connecting the dots. And I find it's been the elder population and the young population have been kind of in the same place, because my 18-year-old, like it took 3-4 weeks for him to finally say to me, Mom, I think this is really a big deal. I said, right. You think? Like, it was news broadcast after news broadcast after, and I also am immunocompromised and I am working with patients, and it took a while for him to understand. And so, I understand that the elder population, like they don't connect the dots. It doesn't make much sense. And that's very difficult. And, if you have social media and you can connect, social media has been a beautiful thing. Yeah. In this day and age with all of this. I mean, there's always the yin and the yang of everything in the world, and Herb and I earlier were talking about, when HIV first came out and what that looked like. I mean, this is completely different because it's affecting everybody. But the beauty is social media has been such an amazing platform to connect. Absolutely. And, sometimes you have to walk somebody who's a little older through how to connect and how to use it. And sometimes it's not that easy. But, we are blessed in that sense that we have all of these abilities to still be there, with each other.
So,
yes. Yes, go ahead, honey. Come on. I want to hear you.
You had mentioned Art Lab. And I'm curious as to, if you want to talk to us a little bit more about that, because, again, some of the programs that Unity Coalition has been doing, like every other organization, like everybody else under the sun on the planet, we've had to readjust as well. And we're trying to provide a lot of our programming online. And I'd like you to talk to us a little bit about, I know you have something coming up with Art Lab.
Yes, this is something that is coming for Art Lab. This is some of the picture. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this is some of the picture that we have from Unity Coalition. It's especially located on Pride Lines here in Miami. It's an open gallery 365 expedition for transgender, gender non-binary, gender non-conforming. I just have to say it on the walls because this is really inclusive. So gender non-conforming, gender non-binary, and all those under the umbrella of the transgender community, they're more than welcome just to show up your case. It's really hard for a transgender population to show up what we are. Basically, people have like a different information about how transgender population is relating to it or what kind of job we have. We are ready just to do any type of job, any qualification. We've been out there. So this is an expedition. This is the time that Unity Coalition given to the transgender community just to show up. I want to say that the last year was an amazing at the Art Frost Museum. It was really good. FIU University, we have thousands of people. Well, not 1,000, but it was a huge amount of people, and we have fun. So go to unitycoalition.org and go and get more information about Trans Art and Art Lab.
Awesome.
Herbie, we cannot hear you. Don't worry. That's fine. That's
Hear me
fine.
now?
Now,
Yes, perfectly.
I have to
Yes,
also add,
here, Kirby.
I have to also add that we really, like anything else, it takes a village. We've been able to do what we do as Unity Coalition with the support of Gilead, who provided an incredible grant that allowed us to hire this
Awesome.
beautiful woman to be our Director of Trans Experience and Programming, Samantha Laflois. She's our year-round Director of Trans Programming and Experience. Which means that she oversees Art Lab at Pride Lines. The partnership with Pride Lines has been incredible as well. They've entrusted us to choose artists to curate the exhibits. We have 4 rotating exhibits a year within that space that are dedicated almost exclusively to the trans and gender non-binary artists.
Yeah.
Also, Care Resource. Care Resource has been an incredible partner for us as well, year round. This is not just during the crisis that we're living, but really year round. And this is true with the trans community, of course, but really the LGBTQ as a whole. So we really have to give a big shout out to both of them. Another one of the things that we're going to be doing in a couple of minutes is we're going to be bringing on John Buckley, who is one of our board members and our vice president. And he's also going to talk about how do you keep physically fit at home without a gym. So we're gonna be able to stretch out a little bit and jump around and sweat. So
it's really good. Yeah. Now that we are talking about different information, different resources for our communities, it's really important. So John Buckley is coming now with a workout without being at home. Next time, Wednesday, is going to be at 4 p.m. It's not going to be at Eastern Standard Time. It's Miami time. Just remember, Miami time and the group for Unity Coalition. Ladies, tell me more about yourself. Tell me, Rachel, let me ask you something about dynamic wellness. Tell me about what kind of service right now, virtual, are you providing, or what is the next step that you guys are following for the pandemic and population?
So seeing, like I said, it's not so much through there, it's through me individually at this point, but virtual clients. And, really what I used to do a lot of is I would travel a lot for interventions and help families get, people placed. So that has to be virtual. I do have clients that I see virtually through the other company Aware, and I am still going in to the hospital, into the, the detox unit.
Are you doing something like special therapy online? They have to pay something. They have to go to our website, request for a schedule.
They can just call me, and I will make sure you guys have my number. They can just call me direct.
Absolutely, guys. So you hear that? Just if you want to know more about her, you want to get support, you want to get more information, just reach out with her. She's going to give you her phone number. She's a special person. She's like an angel. You can call her and anytime. Well, not during the night, okay? Because she has to.
It happens. It's okay.
So, Diana, right now, my love, it's Muniz, right? The last
Muniz, yes.
Girl, it's Latin, honey. Latin. So tell me about recovery release. I know you guys are still working remotely and everything, but tell me a little bit about what is the next step for, let's say, for the rest of 2020. We don't know, but let's have some ideas about it.
So recovery relief, me and my partner, Natalie, we started a little over 2 years ago. Part of it is a holistic approach, right? So we have different approaches. We have CBD hemp oil, and I know that everyone's talking about it, right? Everybody sees it at the stores and all that. The difference between us and a retailer is, we're dealing with healthcare providers and professionals. So they're referring patients to us and we're educating. So and anyone who is looking into a holistic approach into adding into the regimen CBD products, there's a lot of education that goes into it. So they usually call us. We get patients from, like I said, professionals, therapists, but we also have the general public. So I like all of our customers to call us before they buy. We are e-commerce, so we can mail directly to you. We can mail anywhere to all 50 U.S. states. But what's important is for us to educate you. So there's a few ways to do that. You can go on our website, which is www.recoveryrelief, and that is spelled like the leaf. So it's RELEAF.com, recoveryrelief.com. We have Facebook, Instagram, and you can also call us on 833-4-RELIEF. And that's spelled just like the leaf, RELEAF. And you can get us directly. So you're going to talk to us, the owners. We're going to do assessments. We're able to kind of guide you through the CBD process. But it's been very helpful for people dealing with ailments that they can't necessarily get guidance for right now because you're doing telehealth or, so a lot of people are talking about it, but education's everything. And that's what makes us very different.
Y Diana, para los invitados que hablan español o otros idiomas, do you provide services in other languages?
I do have an interpreter that can interpret to a few of our clients or patients from doctors that can explain CBD as well. We can provide that.
Okay, wonderful.
But it is important before they do buy or anything, because what might work for John may not work for Joe.
Of course.
And for us to be able to be a piece of that, it's been very effective actually in this crisis for many, many people.
Wonderful. Ladies, hang on. We have a couple more questions for you, but I really want to talk a little bit about a program that we started March 17th, when really the beginning of the lockdown for many of us, and that's the Micro Giving Emergency Fund. So what that program is Unity Coalition started a Micro Giving Fund, which is something that is a program that provides scholarships and startup money for businesses, for individuals, for healthcare, you name it. And it provides money as well as mentorship. And that's been an incredible program because it allows you to go to school. It allows you to, start up businesses. We're going to have a guest tomorrow, Samantha, right? Who's our guest tomorrow?
We're going to have somebody that will be talking about it. Yes, Micro Giving Fund is just a special program that we are running right now for the coronavirus crisis. We just want to let them know, everybody, that we need to support LGBT community, service community, all these people that we lost our job just for stay at home because the government, and this is the restriction that we have to follow. So now Unity Coalition is regarding to help this community that is involved with LGBT community plus can apply. You just got to go unitycoalition.org o coaliciónunida.org, discúlpeme. Te queremos decirlo también en español para toda nuestra comunidad habla hispana que no saben o no entienden el inglés. Si usted se ha quedado sin empleo y usted se considera LGBTI, es residente de la Florida, Unity Coalition tiene para usted la oportunidad de poder aplicar a un funding que tenemos disponible para todos ustedes. Y estos dineros vienen solamente de estas personas de buen corazón que nos quieren aportar. Por eso queremos que usted comparta en nuestras redes sociales, en sus redes sociales, en todo donde las diferentes plataformas de social media, que comparta este link para aquellos que puedan aportar, puedan poner ese granito de arena y aquellos que lo necesitan puedan recibir toda esta información necesaria. So for these people, Spanish and English, we want to help everybody, and this is a great opportunity. So Unity Coalition have Micro Giving Fund coronavirus crisis.
Right.
So tell me more about what is the next program that Unity Coalition have for everybody.
I just want to finish up with micro giving. It's really two separate programs. We have our Micro Giving Fund, which is year-round, that, as I said, provides money and mentorship for startup programs and for scholarships and really just life's things that happen in life, so to speak.
Yes.
But we realized that there was an immediate need with the coronavirus, specifically for our South Florida LGBT hospitality workers. That means your bartenders, your waiters, your drag queens, people that clean hotel rooms, people in our community that are hurting, that are basically about to lose their homes and really rely almost exclusively on tips.
I got a question for you first.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, I have a question. Let's say that I'm, I was working in a restaurant right now, but now when I go to college, taking my virtual classes, do you think that microgiving fund will be work for me right now during this crisis, or should I wait until that this crisis passing, or what is the recommendation that you have for everybody? I wanna open my own business, my small business.
Right.
What should I do?
You're asking two different questions from two different funds, but that's okay. You can apply for your micro giving fund. Okay, micro giving fund is from $100 to $500 of money and or mentorship to either go to school, to start a business, or for life's problems. Okay, so that is one application. The other application
that's micro giving fund, right? And now we have.
The other question is micro giving coronavirus emergency tips fund, which is independent of that. Okay. And that is an independent fund. You see at the bottom of your screen, you can send this money through Zelle. You can send this money through GoFundMe. You can send it to us through our Unity Coalition page. And the great thing about this is 100% of everything that gets donated goes right back into this fund. We don't keep a penny. There is no administrative fee. There's no overhead. We absorb all of that. We really just, as soon as the money comes in, we put it right back out. We've raised several $1,000s. We've given out, as of yesterday, 18 different individuals. Again, if you identify as LGBT and work in the hospitality industry, and got laid off because of Corona, that qualifies you. Doesn't mean we can automatically give you money. We can only give the money that comes in is all we can give out. So the more money comes in, the more money we can fund.
The more money we can give it. So that's
we've been able to give. We've been able to give between $100 and $300 to each and every one of those people, and we continue to do so every day. You can see if you want to know who specifically is getting them. We've asked obviously everybody for their approval. We don't want, if you don't want to be
with those people that they don't want to be.
But all that information is on our website at unitycoalition.org. So I urge you to help our community. If it's Friday and you go to a bar and you tip your drag queen or you tip your bartender, and now you're sitting at home pouring your own drinks, doing your own makeup and doing some karaoke, you know what? Throw a tip at some of your, friends and neighbors that don't have that ability to raise money. Some of the drag performers in South Florida have been very creative and have started some of their own fundraising, and that's fantastic. But not everybody has that ability. Exactly. If you're a bartender, if you're a waiter, a lot of these individuals do not really have another way to go out, especially right now. It's not like you said, okay, I lost my job, I'm going to go look for another job.
I can get another one, yes.
There are no jobs. So this is very, very important that you please consider giving to the Micro Giving Coronavirus Fund. And again, you can find it both on, or all three on Zelle.
UnityCoalition.org.
UnityCoalition.org.
I want to encourage everybody and remember that Unity Coalition have available app for iOS and Android. You just go to your phone and check it out, Google Apple Store or iOS Apple Store or Google Apple Store, and then click on it, and it's available Unity Coalition UC for iOS and Android. Just if you want to stay tuned, just go ahead and download the app. Stay tuned with us.
Rachel, I have a couple of questions more for you ladies.
Sure.
How do you see our lives in 6 months? How do you see all of our lives in 6 months?
Oh,
wow.
What a loaded question.
Good luck.
My hope is that we would be able to finally contain this, that there would be a vaccine, that there would be enough testing, that especially our state, but the country would be smart enough to do what they have to do to get this under wraps. And I agree when people say we'll never go back to what we were, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe this is, a lot of things that happen in my belief system is the universe's way of telling us something, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned out of this. No, we would never want this to happen. We would never welcome this. And, but we have to take something away from it, as we do in every part of our life, even the worst parts. It's where we grow and where we evolve and where we get stronger. So, my hope is that our community recognizes that we need to operate as a community always, that we need to take care of each other, regardless of race, economic status, gender, anything. It doesn't matter, that we as a community belong together, and we are responsible for each other. And, like I said, I hope that there's enough testing and vaccines and the ability for the medical community to get this under bay. And, we can go back to some normalcy, but tweaked a little bit different for sure. And being safe and being smart, and maybe having this mindset now of, how these things can happen. And so how do we act going forward to prevent another, crisis like this? But
I want to add to this that especially our Hispanic community, I'm talking about myself, sometimes we are so shy just to tell probably we don't have food, but our neighborhood is a Cuban or probably somebody from our country, but we are so ashamed just to say I don't have food because probably it's embarrassing, for it's so hard. So this is the time, as they said, it's the time to help each other. It's the time to collaborate. It's the time to tell the people, I don't have sugar, I don't have rice. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Yeah. It's not the time to say I'm more than you. I have this. This is more expensive like you. I have my bag with this brand or this. So please help each other. Help each other. Love is love.
That goes on. There's another side to that I keep trying to enforce, is that people need to start asking if you need help. We need to look at each other as brothers and sisters and say, what can I do for you? Because I will tell you, in years of my experience of counseling and being an addiction specialist and nursing and all of that, people have a very hard time being vulnerable and asking for help.
Yep.
And that's why this pandemic is going to kill so many recovering addicts, because they're not going to reach out and they're alone. So I completely appreciate, Samantha, that you say that, because it's true. I'm also the same way. I don't necessarily pick up the phone and ask for a little bit of support when I'm feeling bad. I try to take care of myself.
Can I say with this, culture is a big part of your mindset. Absolutely. When you talk about the way you were raised and culture and pride, I have different cultures in my home right now. I have an Israeli mother-in-law. I have my mother who was she was raised in Miami by Latinas, basically. She was, her mother was an alcoholic. So who saved my mother's life on the streets were Latinos. And she's Caucasian, right? And my father was Puerto Rican. So, it's kind of this multitude. So absolutely. I think that because of social media, you were saying, Rachel, is sometimes I've just been sending links to people, even if it's private messenger. I don't even say anything. I just go, I just heard about this. Spread it around, and if we can spread just links without saying, hey, do you need help? Because some people are very prideful and people do not like to be asked. They feel like, they're less than. And the truth is we're all in the same boat. So I think that there's different ways that we can communicate that, especially with culture, is maybe for that person asking for help is not so easy, but we can send a link, or we can, and then they can go on their own and read and maybe, figure it out. So that is important. Culture is a big part of asking for help.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Herb, we cannot hear you. Welcome.
Trying to multitask.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that this is, the reality that we're living in has, I don't know if it's leveled the playing field, but it certainly has brought those realities of needing to ask for help. And again, I use the expression leveling the playing field, because I think people that never, ever would have imagined needing a bag of groceries, or needing to go get a free meal, or needing God knows what else. Yep. We're still very much in this situation. And I don't want to sound negative, but if we're in this 4-6 months from now, life is going to be very difficult for a lot more people.
Yep.
A lot more people.
Yeah.
It's difficult now. It's going to get even worse. And even as we come out of this pandemic, again, trying to stay very positive, But even as we come out of it, life will not change from a Sunday to a Monday. You know, all of a sudden, life is not going to go back to normal. There will be no normal as we knew it. It'll be the new normal.
New normal.
You know,